Welcome back to Momentous Struggle, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. On today's episode, Aubrey and I are going to keep on going down that general list building, just playing around with some fun, building some fun lists, and probably talk about a little bit of news. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Aubrey, how we doing today?
If I never talk to an underwriter again, listeners, I will be happy. But other than that, I'm doing okay. The closing, for those of you keeping track, is next week. We're almost to closing, Todd.
Yep, this is the worst part of the journey is when you're leading up to the closing. So, yeah, like as I've said before, the home buying process is probably one of the most stressful things anyone can ever do. So, I know that you're like right there at the worst part about it, whereas like the underwriters are like, oh, I'm trying to put all this stuff together, and I forgot to ask about this, and this. So, yeah, no, I get it. I it's never a fun time. So I definitely feel your pain. It's like that's primarily a big piece of my normal day job is dealing with underwriters and different bank personnel. So no, I get it. I understand. I'm assuming with everything had going on, you really haven't had a chance to play a lot of games this past week.
No, sorry everyone. I think grabbing out all of my red cards in preparation for this episode is the closest I've gotten to doing any Shatterpoint. I mean, unless you count talking to people, it's been kind of fun. We've kind of chatting back and forth in the various discords about different ideas, different strategies, squad building. So a lot of theoretical Shatterpoint in my orbit.
Oh yeah, no, I hear that. I mean, because there's a lot of information that's been coming down the pipe over the last 2 weeks or so. So basically, I think by the time this episode comes out, we're going to be releasing this on Christmas Day. So it'll be for everybody out there. Merry Christmas. I hope you all are having a wonderful Christmas. Had a wonderful Christmas because by this point in time, you're probably not listening to us on Christmas Day. I don't think they're that dedicated to of listeners. We're like, oh, it's Christmas
Please,
morning. I have to listen to
please.
Momentous Struggle.
Yes, if you celebrate Christmas, if that's part of your tradition, please don't listen to us on Christmas Day. I mean, unless you're trying to get away from the family, and everybody else. If you don't celebrate Christmas, hey, we got you. You
Yep.
got something to do.
Exactly. But no, there's like so the 13th we got a download, a database download on Luke. On the 20th we got his counterparts from his box with Bosch and Lando and R2D2, and of course the weekend or right before we got the Luke one on the 12th we got the new Vader database download. So we got all sorts of information. I will put a link in the description to where all the transmissions are on the Atomic Mass Games website. But yeah, there's a lot of cool information out there. We're not going to jump into it too much, or we're not going to jump into it at all, really, of like the ins and outs of all those downloads. Today, those are going to be definitely covered in more detail in future episodes, but definitely some really cool stuff that's coming out from those.
I will say, look for pushes and pins, everybody. There's your teaser. There's your
Yep.
teaser. If you haven't seen those transmissions yet, I am very excited about what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, I like the Orlando R2 and the Bosch the spy mechanic there. Seems like it'll be pretty interesting. So it looks like a fun box that for sure. So I mean, I'm definitely excited to jump in the future and talk about that. Yep, and we already know that that box is going to be coming out January 26th. That's up on the release calendar for on the Asmodee website. And then also we have been been given release dates for the Plo box, and both of the Ewok boxes. But all three of those are going to be coming out at least tentatively right now. They have it out at February 16th, which is really awesome.
Yeah, you get to celebrate Valentine's Day by asking your significant other slash partner slash person in your life to buy you more plastic. Yay!
And because each of these boxes has either two a secondary or second primary, all of these boxes are going to be $59.99 is the listed retail price because there's a little bit more plastic in each one of these. So a little bit higher of a price point on all of them as well.
Yes, I'm already excited because my fiance has said that she very much wants to learn how to play the Ewok box, and she said she'll pay for it. So,
Ooh.
yay! My wallet isn't hurting as badly as I thought it was going to be
Nice.
right after Valentine's Day.
Right, right. Yep. No, I mean, it looks pretty exciting. I mean, both, and I'm sure both of those Ewok boxes will work together very well to make a nice strike force. So I'm excited to get all of the cards for that and be able to talk about those in the future as well. So, like, yeah, a lot of cool stuff. A lot of information has been coming out. So I'm really excited, really happy that we got a lot of information to just soak in during the season that we have right now, during this leading up to New Year's and everything.
Yes, and I'm ready to see some Care Bears in Star Wars because that's what I think is going to happen to my Ewoks at least.
Nice, nice. I'm quite positive that your significant other will definitely be painting them in a very unique style for sure. This is be the unique individual that she is. She will definitely be having some uniqueness there. So yeah, so the mainly today what we were going to do is just kind of play around. Last week we talked like with just doing some fun building with some of the only the blue cards. So this week we're going to start and just look at all of the red cards. This opens up basically as like Separatist Plus, I guess you could say. You have all the Separatists, you have Maul, you have Mother Talzin. There's a lot of cool primaries in here, so a lot of different ways you could go strategy wise. So, what do you think? I mean, because it's like, I think the primaries definitely make the team, but there's some really good secondaries that come out of the with the in this color of card for sure.
Yeah. So again, we're gonna do a more competitive list, and then fun
Yeah.
list after that. Um, Unfortunately, I mean, I kind of feel like the separatists make our competitive list a little easy, right?
Right.
Because I mean, you you can't really go wrong with just the whole Dooku box. Like
Right.
just Dooku, Django, Magna Guards. Like if we were gonna talk about a default like box, like take the box out, put it together, don't synergize with anyone else. I mean, it's the Dooku box. It's got to be the best one, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's got by far the best secondary in the game, and it's got one of the strongest supporting units in the game as well with the Magna Guard. So it's like, yeah, that's they're just two of the strongest things to do in the game overall is just doing that. Now, I mean, yeah, you could go that route. I mean, and that kind of the other thing is though, I think when you're looking at competitive, you can build Mother Maul with this too. I mean, Mom is a red card, Maul is a red card. You have all sorts of stuff that you can do with those guys too.
Yes, yes. And I will say, spoilers everybody, that's what I was going to do with my fun list. Even
Yeah, of
though
course.
I think it's almost as competitive, like
Right.
it's I'm not this is hard. All right everybody, let's be real. Let's talk for a minute. The red cards are so much better than the blue cards. They're so much better. Like I'm going to give you a fun list everybody, but it's really also a competitive list. It's hard. The sadly the only way that I think you could get away with building like a quote unquote fun list that
Mhm.
isn't good is if you play Asajj. Sadly, like, like that's the only way to depower the red card.
Right, and I think Asajj, if you were to put her with any other primary in this, you would definitely want to put her with Dooku simply because you have that force refresh that comes with Dooku. I mean, so his his ability with that brave but foolish, where you can potentially get some a little bit of force refresh because she is so force hungry. That's about the only place you'd really want her, and he comes with 4 force to begin with because she's going to eat up a lot of force because you're just not getting that free force push for that with her on her tree. It's just too far down. She doesn't hit hard enough. So for sure that would be the place that you want to bring her. But yeah, you're not gonna want to do that here. I think because it's just not a good competitive list. I mean, there's many things that you can do that are better than bringing Asajj for sure.
Yeah, sadly, no. I'm leaving Asajj at home. And then this is where we were kind of having this thought experiment on the one of the discords. I don't remember where we were at, or maybe it was at the tournament. I don't know. Remind me, Todd. Somebody was asking me somewhere that like if you were gonna buy two boxes, like say you don't own anything, you've been borrowing the core set from other people, or you want to get your feet wet, like if you were to only buy two boxes to like jump in and have a fairly competitive list, which two boxes would you buy?
And I think this was a conversation on Discord, and yes, it was definitely, oh, you go ahead and buy Vader, or Vader, not Vader, buy the Dooku box because that has everything, and then you're going to go ahead and just add in the Grievous box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, because then you get Grievous, you get Kraken, and you get the B2s.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, Kalani is technically powerful, but I kind of wanted to double dip here and be like, hey, everybody, also, if you're waiting and you don't know what you want to buy, and you're listening to this podcast because somehow you've stumbled upon us having fun but you haven't actually pulled the trigger on any boxes, yeah, yeah, we've got Grievous, we've got Kraken, we've got B2s. You could buy these two boxes and you will have a lot of fun. You will not be disappointed. uh I mean, I guess if you don't like the Separatists, maybe that's the only way you'd be disappointed. But
Yeah.
from a competitive and fun and any level, just buy these two.
Without a doubt. Yeah, Grievous hits super hard. He is just a killing machine when it comes down to it. Literally, he is a killing machine. So he is definitely someone that you want to sit there and play. His scuttle helps him get extra movement. He can sit there and help trigger your Magna Guards when he moves, as well as Dooku. So that helps your Magna Guards move. Django's just amazing with his because he has that diceless displacement that he has going on. Kraken's really good because he has that global movement for his on activation ability. So there's a lot of good stuff going on there. I am a Kalani lover myself personally. I would probably say that I would almost look at running Kalani and the B1s from the core box to sit there and do that as well because I think those two are like Kalani just is probably the best turn one like first card draw in the game simply because it's like, oh, I pull Kalani. Now I'm going to move all four of these models forward and sit there and get them onto points or get them where they're going to be able to do something more impactful to the game than Kraken can do. But if you don't pull him in that first one or two cards, then he kind of loses a little bit of his ability to sit there and impact the early game. But he still is a great model. He still has the tactical network just like Kraken does. He does have he does add the extra dice, the Kalani dice, like that's what I call it, but it's complete analysis. Not complete analysis. It is the target concentrate all firepower. That's a great ability that just gives an extra dice to all your battle droids to sit there and when they're attacking. So definitely another great ability there. Um, yeah, I mean you can six of one, half a dozen of the other when it comes to which ones you want to put in. I think it's more along the lines of the flavor of the player and what they're wanting to do. The battle droids, the B2s, definitely. I mean, they get extra dice. They are great because they have protection all the time. So they're great. Yeah, so they're really good. Their saturation fire, giving them extra two dice for a force, is really good as well. They can spend a force to move with their relentless advance, so they can really get up the field too. There's a lot of good stuff going on with all of these guys.
Yes, I actually cannot conceive of a way to improve upon these characters. They are already just so good. Like
Yeah.
just good design. They don't feel overpowered, but they're very strong in what they do. Kalani Kalani is definitely your best turn one in this game.
Yeah.
Hands down. So if if you've already got the core box, continue with us in this eternal debate. Which is better, Kalani and the B1s or Kraken and the B2s? The answer is you're probably not going to be upset either way.
Yeah.
Do whichever one makes you happy because they're just both good.
Yeah, they're both
It must be
fantastic.
nice. Last week I was scraping the bottom of the barrel to get us somewhere with the blue cards. Here I'm like, there's like 9 options if you want to be competitive, and that's not even getting into the death of Mirians.
Right? Yeah, that's it. And that's their don't tell rogue support because, they're going to tell you that that's the best thing to be doing right now anyway. So, I mean, they're like I'm sure if they're listening, they're probably like, "No, you're wrong. You should have been going with Mother Mall anyway." So, no, this is a great list. And definitely I think you could take this to, a standard event, a just a showdown event, and you would be in the hunt to sit there and win the tournament with this particular list anytime. Like as long as you're piloting it well. I mean, of course, I mean, and Count Dooku is a decent counter into Vader. I mean, he's not the best counter into Vader, but he's good. I mean, he does give you some things that are really good into Vader. So it's okay. I mean, so you definitely it's definitely a good list though. I would highly recommend playing this list at an event at any time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. It's pretty interesting to me how some of the boxes we've been tweaking, or we're like, like I like the primary, but I don't really like anything else that came with it.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's like, no, just run the 2 boxes. You'll be fine. It's all right. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean you can tweak it, but you don't have to at all. They're great. The two boxes are just great by themselves. So yeah, no, and I think the other part is I think these have. I mean, Dooku came out on release. Grievous was not far behind it, so I mean there's a lot of practice with these lists too. So everyone kind of knows how to play them very well. As we get more of these releases, I think things will probably change a little bit. People are going to explore more things. Like they've said the murder bears are probably going to come out and have some fun doing some aggro stuff. So we're going to see some changing as the games go on and everything along those lines. But I think these are two definitely boxes that we'll see for a while for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't even figure out what I would want for more separatist units, because I know like we could get droidicas, we could get the droid commandos from Clone Wars. There's a couple of generals you could throw in there, but as much as I want those destroyer droids, the separatists already just feel so good. Like I don't like they would have to have a really good box to come out for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna put down what we've got already and try out this new thing. All right.
Well, I mean, they can give you droidicas with just give you Newt Gunray as the primary. Somebody really awful like that, and then it's just like, well, I'm just buying the box for the supports.
Hey, I mean, if they give me like Newt Gunray has 9 points for some reason, so you can just run everything. I mean, all right.
Yeah, the CAD, but it's Newt. But yeah, that would be pretty ridiculous. But then you can, yeah, there'd be some room for that. But yeah, I could, I like. I mean, we have Queen Amidala from the first movie, so why not give us Newt Gunray from the first movie?
Oh, oh, if they do that, then he should have she can't do that. Shoot her or something. That has to be one of the abilities. Like that's got to be one of the abilities. Okay, I never would have thought I'd say out loud that I want to play as Newt Gunray in a game ever, but no, if I get to activate the ability, shoot her or something, deal. You can have all my money, AMG.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Fantastic. All right. So, is it story time with Aubrey, or are we just having a fun, or just building a list?
So there's not as much of a story here. This is going to be me, uh, kind of kind of talking about the issue that some players have, and I am one of them. How many times have I ranted now about Vader being Galactic Republic tagged in this game?
So this is
I don't know,
so
Todd.
this
Do
is
you
going to
know?
be it's countless times. So basically what you're saying though is this is therapy time with Aubrey, not story time, but therapy time with Aubrey.
A little bit, a little bit. So I know there's other people out there like me who get very annoyed when we have flavor fails in games. So what I want to talk about is kind of what I do to make myself feel better about my flavor fails in my head. And if this turns into a deranged rant, well, you listened to this. I don't know how to help you. I didn't force anyone to listen to me, okay?
And I've been friends with
So
you for so long. It's like I'm just used to it now. It's just it just happens. It's like I just go with it.
so here is my conundrum. So I like to play right now, and I think you're kind of on a similar list. I like to play Mother Mall.
Yep.
I'm there. I'm right there with you, Rogue Support. You've converted me. I'm tired of the Galactic Republic trotting on the rights of clones and other beings, and so I've been playing Mother Mall.
I mean,
But here's the problem.
oh, go for it.
Oh, oh no, you go because I'm gonna start ranting.
No, so you're playing Mother Mall. Like, is it simply because of like Rogue Support finally broke you, or what was it that kind of finally got you to where like, okay, I'm turning to the dark side?
Oh, I mean, come on. They're edgy goth witches in space. Like I've always liked the Dathomirians. Like I told everybody. I think it was on one of the our episodes. I reread Courtship of Princess Leia because like teenage Aubrey was losing his ever loving mind when like these women are showing up and they're kicking Luke's teeth in and taking him captive and dragging him off into the wilderness to I don't know what they're gonna do out there, everybody. But like, no, I thought it was fascinating. And then when you read the Young Jedi Knight series, you get introduced to the daughter of the princess of uh, of the Hapes cluster, the
Hmm.
daughter of Isildur and Tanelia. Oh, I've never tried to say her name out loud. I don't know. Anyway, the main Dathomirian character from Courtship of Princess Leia. Anyway, their daughter goes to Luke's Jedi Academy on Yavin 4, and this is all legends, everybody. This isn't canon anymore. But she ends up being the primary love interest of Jason Solo, the oldest son, twin son with Jaina of Han and Leia,
Yep.
and his character was by far my all time favorite character out of all of the Legends characters. And so they end up having a kid too, and that's a very important inciting incident in the what is that the name of the series? It's not Legacy of the Jedi. It's the one just before it. Well, anyway, there's a series documenting Jason Solo's uh, eventual fall to the dark side, and so and his daughter and a vision he has. It's very much a parallel of Anakin's fall to the dark side, and it's an incredibly well written series. Like like my favorite character falls to the dark side, and I don't mean a little fall to the dark side. I mean like he's styling himself the next Emperor Palpatine fall to the dark side. And have you read that? Have you read that series, Todd?
I have, and I think that's a lot of the influence for Kylo Ren came from that particular part. So yes, I have read that series. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's like that was like I said, like when I think of Kylo Ren, it was like okay, I was really disappointed that the twins weren't there, that they weren't legend anymore. But it was like okay, you kind of gave us a little bit. You kind of took some of the cool aspects of them and put them into Kylo.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I actually did like. I mean, we could get into the sequel trilogy, and that could be its own episode. But I did like the idea, the concept of Kylo Ren, of Ben Solo being this character who fell to the dark side, and even though his story ends up somewhat differently from Jason Solo's story, it's still it was a good idea. I mean, listeners, if you have not read this series, okay, there's a lot of baggage that comes along with it. If you haven't read a lot of the connected other legend stories, a lot of what happens and it isn't going to make sense. Like this came out at the tail end of the expanded universe, and at that point, they assumed everyone who was reading these books wasn't just casually picking them up. It was all interwoven with all of these other stories. But it is so good. To, I don't want to spoil too much, even though I mean Jason Solo falling to the dark side is technically itself a spoiler, although the books are 20 years old almost. So if you haven't figured this out, sorry. Uh, what I love about this series is that you root for Jason Solo up until a certain point. I mean, he kills a major fan favorite character in this series, and you still root for him. But there's a couple of things that happen after that, because you could almost argue that a lot of what he does is justified or self-defense, or at least reasonable from a certain point of view. Thanks, Obi-Wan. But you eventually reach a point in the series where you realize, no, oh no, no, he's fallen, he's gone. This is not gonna be a happy ending.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's so good. They took my boy and turned him to the dark side, and I'm I'm a Jedi light sider for life. That's the lawful good is my thing. And they had me rooting for a Sith Lord who is trying to take over the Galactic Alliance and turn it into an empire. And then they get me to stop rooting for him.
Yeah. It was a good series.
It was why I was excited about Kylo Ren, and they do have some of it. Like you can see the pieces of it in his story too. But anyway, that's why. Now Dathomirians are cool. What I'm disappointed about is, for those of you who haven't read the Legends, there were light side and dark side witches. There were two factions on Dathomir, and when Disney took over and the canon got changed, I don't know why only the dark side, the Night Sisters came out. Like I I don't. It was kind of a good story, and like they were basically foils to each other, and Palpatine had them on lockdown so they couldn't mess with the galaxy, and then we just stopped doing that. I don't know
I
why we
feel
only
like
kept.
I feel like that window is still open, because it's like, even if you look at like some of the episodes where like Obi-Wan of Clone Wars, where Obi-Wan's, when he goes to the planet and they talk about, oh, it's this clan of witches. So it's like it makes it appear like, oh, there's other clans of witches, they just never talk about them once Disney took over, and we go away, and Legends kind of like goes off to the side. So there's always a possibility, because I think that the door's been left open, but we have never gotten the stories of that.
Eh, it's fine. I'm over it now. But the point is that I've always liked the Dathomirians, so it's not them. It's just like I'm a light side guy. I don't want to play as the Night Sisters. I want them to bring back the other Dathomirians, because oh man, they ride Rancors. They know all this different healing magic. They do all this cool stuff. Like the Night Sisters aren't supposed to have Rancors, because the Rancors are actually like not quite sentient, but like the level of like monkeys or apes or dolphins or whatever. Like they're intelligent enough that they're like, we're not gonna hang out with the Night Sisters, because the Night Sisters treat us badly. We're hanging out with you because you treat us well. Like
Yeah.
they're like it's a great story. Does it read like a trashy romance novel a lot of the time? Yes, it does, but it's okay. Still read Courtship of Princess Leia. You'll understand more about Dathomir, but you'll also wonder why Leia and Han and Luke do the things that they do in this story, because it makes no sense unless you realize you're reading a trashy romance novel.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's get back to your
But
list here.
List, list. Hey, we did get to story time with Aubrey. It was just a backdoor method. So this is how what I do when I'm building a list, and like for example, I really like playing, and I know his card is like technically slightly orange or whatever, but we don't have any of the rebels or whatever. So I'm throwing Obi-Wan. I'm making him honorary red because hey, look at my camera. Well, those of you who are on YouTube, it looks red. It's fine. Well, my problem is I love playing Obi-Wan with Mother Talzin
Okay.
because he does such a good job protecting Mama from all the nasty people who are trying to wound her.
Okay.
But when would Obi-Wan ever fight alongside the leader of the clan of a bunch of dark side witches?
I have no idea. Tell me.
Exactly. Exactly, Todd. You do not know because he would not. But a little story that I like to tell myself in my head is what would happen if Obi-Wan survived Mustafar but never made it back up with Yoda and Bail Organa?
Okay.
Never, right? It's a whole different story. What would he do if he was left on his own, never made it back? We'll just say Yoda took out Anakin, turned him into Darth Vader or something or other instead, and maybe both kids got left with Bail. For those of you who are like, wait a minute, this changes too much of the story. It's all right, I can hand wave this for you. Most of it will stay the same, but Luke gets to be Prince Luke instead. Oh no, so sad. And Anakin. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Yoda would also have left him to barbecue on Mustafar. Yeah, that feels like a very Yoda thing. Oh, toasty you are. But whatever. Bottom line is, who might Obi-Wan actually consider seeking out for help if he's trying to destroy Palpatine? Can't find Ahsoka. Who might he have to find? Lord Maul. And somehow get him to not kill him on the spot
Okay.
and try and form an alliance to take out Palpatine. Because all he knows at this point is the little bit of information he's gotten because he hasn't talked to Bill, hasn't talked to Yoda, doesn't know any other Force groups. The only person out there who might have more information about what happened is Darth Maul. Well, Lord Maul now, just Maul. So finds out from Maul. Well, Maul's on his own too. He just escaped. He knows enough of what happened, but he doesn't think they're powerful enough to take on Palpatine, even just the two of them. So where do we go? Back to Dathomir to resurrect Mother Talzin, because at this point in the story, she's dead. And even though Dathomirians dying is kind of loosey goosey. Like they die and they come back and they die and come back, and I don't really know when they're fully dead. They certainly in Sons of Dathomir, the comic book, they make it seem like she's dead because she saves Maul, and at least the way Darth Sidious talks about it at the end, it makes it sound like nope, she's never coming back this time, even though she has already come back at least once, possibly twice.
Yeah.
Sure. But Maul and Obi-Wan go to Dathomir, resurrect Mother Talzin, and resurrect and you know what? For funsies, because I want this to be a fun list, we just gonna resurrect everyone. Savage is gonna come back. We're gonna have the Night Sisters come back. And so we've got a whole resurrected army. And no, I didn't get this idea from Ahsoka, Todd, okay? This is all in my head.
Sure.
Totally original. Definitely not inspired by anything I might have seen recently. That was sarcasm, people. Like, for those of you who might not have realized. But we got a whole Dathomirian undead army raised, and just because I've got to stay in the red cards, we're gonna hire some Mandalorian super commandos, and Obi-Wan and Maul are gonna go after Palpatine.
Okay, so who is he? You've got me in circles here. So who is your team? You got Mom, you got Obi-Wan, and then are you
No, no, no,
taking?
no, no, no. So Maul, don't forget about Maul.
Yeah,
It's just Maul, Mama T.
yeah.
We got Savage and Obi Wan out of hiding,
Okay.
right? And then our supports are the Night Sisters and the Mandalorian Super Commandos.
Alrighty. Yeah, I can see that. I mean,
Yeah,
you jumped all
yeah.
over the place with that story, though. Holy moly! that was that was some gymnastics if I've ever heard them, man. Holy wow!
Yeah, did you follow? Because we started with why I like Dathomir. Then we dove into a what if scenario. Then we swung back around to Dathomir. It's okay, Todd.
The
So
only problem with the story
everybody,
in your head, the only problem with the story in your head, though, is Maul hates Obi-Wan so much. There's no way he would ever team up with him. He would kill him before anything else happened. But okay, your story's fine up until it's like, no, Obi-Wan and Maul will never work together. Sorry, it's not happening.
this is why I'm not gonna be in charge of the inevitable what if episodes that Disney will write. Because come on, they've got to do. They did the Marvel what ifs. They've got to do some Star Wars what ifs. That would be great. But this is why I'm not in charge because you're absolutely right. This would never happen.
no.
But we're talking multiverse theory here. The idea is that any decision anyone could ever make in theory has happened, right? So this is the one universe out of the 16 billion where Maul kills Obi-Wan on the spot or Obi-Wan kills Maul on the spot. This is the one universe where Maul actually stops and listens to his proposal.
Sure, sure. I mean, we can go for it. I mean, I can see that. It's like maybe it's Maul has that moment in time again where he remembers that fight on Mandalore between him where Savage dies, and he's like, "Yes, I will get my revenge for my brother." Fine, okay, okay. Well, I'll let you have it. Yeah, I just don't. Okay, I'll let you have it.
Here. I can do you one better. All right. We can make it be the only way he can resurrect Mother Talzin is with the light side of the Force, and he of course can't use it. And so he needs Obi-Wan to help him, and Obi-Wan is in a very dark place after this. Like, okay, fine, we'll change the story. I'm making this up more or less on
It's
the
Dark
spot.
Obi-Wan.
Let's say this is after Mustafar, and so Obi-Wan's all bent out of shape, and he brought Luke to Tatooine, but now he's depressed in the desert. We're gonna fast forward a little bit. So this is depressed Obi-Wan, say just before the Kenobi show thereabouts, and then he goes and finds Maul. We can make this. We make sad Obi-Wan. So Maul doesn't even want to fight him because he's so sad. He's like, oh, sad Kenobi. Let's go free my mama from death.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, there you go. There. So the idea, listeners, you're all pretty smart. You see what I'm doing with this. Come up with a story that at least sort of makes sense. Obviously, some of these characters, quote unquote, would never fight on the same side, even though we literally see that happen especially in the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's not even the only place. Like I'm trying to think. It's definitely happened sometimes in the comic books, I'm sure. But like, have fun with it. Come up with something that makes sense to you. That's okay. Like, Battlefront 3 was supposed to give us all these like different versions of characters, right? I saw the concept art. They scrapped it, unfortunately, but like you had a dark Obi-Wan and a redeemed Vader, and you had just different version. I think it was a Jedi Knight Maul. Now that one's interesting to me. Like you know, Maul's still from Dathomir, but he somehow becomes a Jedi Knight. Like, it's fascinating.
That's
If you
interesting.
haven't seen that, yeah, if you haven't seen that concept art from Battlefront 3, the game they scrapped, there's some really cool ideas in there. But The idea is like come up with something that makes you comfortable. Come up with a story, come up with a scenario, make something up that makes you happy so that, you know, Ahsoka and Dooku can go fight together on the battlefield and you're not like, why is this happening? I don't like it.
See, I don't have that problem. I'm okay with it. It's a game. It's like I'm perfectly fine putting completely not related characters together, and it's I can separate the canon from the 2 hour game I'm about to play. It doesn't bother me that much.
But Todd, it's the story. It's so important.
The story's still there. You're just it hasn't changed. It's not gone away. It's still there. Oh no, I understand where that is. I mean, there are so many passionate Star Wars fans out there, not just from that play this game, but just in general that are like so passionate about the lore and everything about it. So I understand where it's coming from. For me, it's just like, okay, I like playing with my little plastic Star Wars characters, and I don't care if like the bad guys are playing with the good guys right now. It's okay.
Hey, and you know what? That's nice. I remember being baffled when I was first like going on social media and following like Magic the Gathering pros and like competitive players, and some of them would like just fully be like in response, you know, you'd be talking about cards and inevitably the lore would get in there and they'd be like, yeah, I don't know any of that. I don't I don't know who's on this. I don't know who this guy on this picture is. I don't know what the lore text at the bottom is. I like, is it a good card or not? Will it make it in my tournament deck?
Yep.
And I'm like, how?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it.
like, like like at that point, for those of you who've never played a card game, that is like playing with gray plastic your entire time in tabletop and never even caring that everyone else's models are painted around you. Awful. I don't understand.
I mean, some people don't care. They'll play with gray. They're like, fine. I just want to build it and play. I mean, so yeah, there are people like that. It's okay.
Oh, our friend Rich is gonna say something about this,
Oh
Todd.
yeah.
Now that you said that,
He
oh
would lose.
boy.
Oh no, for him it's not okay. He cannot handle that. No. But but I don't care. Like whatever. I'm fine playing it that way. It's. I mean, I won't put him on the model just because he's given me PTSD over painted models. But it's
Well, there you go. All right. So hopefully that helped. I know that was kind of a whirlwind of a story because I wasn't expecting you to ask that question, Todd. That like I had a whole plan in my head, and then we just went off into left
to
field.
be fair, it's not really that hard to get you off the rails, though, Aubrey.
Yeah, right. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Well, listeners, if you made it this far in the episode, you must enjoy my stories. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, I do have like one list that I would. I mean, for me, if I were to sit there and put
Mhm.
together like a fun list for me, I still love Asajj. She is still like I don't know. I think like I said, like the book with her and Quinlan Voss is still one of my favorite Star Wars books. So it's like she's always one of my favorite characters. Just her whole story arc from being like she was chained under a Jedi. The Jedi Master that she trained under died. Then she became a slave, and then she was rescued from slavery, and then she was betrayed by Dooku. She has like so many ups and downs in her entire life. She became a full Night Sister. Then the Night Sisters were wiped out. Then she goes and then she becomes a bounty hunter, and it's this her the entire story that she's gone through is just crazy. So I would love to just sit there and play. That's why I always want to play her like as much as I possibly can. I like think of playing her just because of the Mother Talzin different synergies, playing her with Mama T, and just kind of going into that synergy of the Night Sisters and the Dathomirians, and because of that, I would probably would definitely take Savage but have Savage as that apprentice that he was to Asajj Ventress when she first when he first came to be, it was because he was going to be the assassin of Dooku, and she was the actual master at the time. So that's why I would end up bringing her for sure. The next person that I would bring is they would just hire a bounty hunter though. They need to have that Django to come along and just be that bounty hunter to protect Mother Talzin when they're going into a battle, because they're going to go do some nefarious shit. You know what I'm saying? They're just getting ready to go out there and do some Dathomirian witch stuff. Is what's going on. So yeah, I would definitely bring her along. Have the Night Sisters for sure. And because there's, they're bounty, we have a bounty hunter already. They're going to go and just hire some mercenary super commandos to sit there and come along with them, and that would be my fun team.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. I almost said Mother Talzin and Asajj because of the big old battle against the separatists. That
Yep.
that is one of my favorite archetypes, is like when the villains end up fighting each other, but it's like a true contest, not like a little like, oh, my minions have turned on me, or something nonsense, but when you have like an evil faction and an evil faction and they're disagreeing about,
Mm.
I don't know, how evil to be. Like, what do you disagree with? But that's so much fun. That's still one of my favorite episodes, even though they did my Night Sisters dirty there.
Yeah, they did him pretty wrong in that. Dooku, that showed just how dirty Dooku and Grievous really were with that, when they just wiped out that entire society, for lack of a better way of putting it. They just destroyed an entire society. But no, that was a great little story arc there, with like everything that happened with the Night Sisters and on Dathomir, and that invasion where Dooku's like, "Fine, I'm gonna go and finish this now." So I liked it.
Yeah, and if you like Asajj Ventress, another book I recommend is Jedi Lost. It's
Yep.
about Dooku's life story, basically how he, the now canon reason why he ends up falling to the dark side. Even though it's interesting, there is a, like, not a, I don't know if it's a continuity error or just a change to the canon, but the Tales of the Jedi episodes about Dooku kind of contradict some of what's in that book. So I'm assuming that's the new canon. But regardless, the reason why I bring it up here is because Asajj Ventress is actually the main character of that book, not Dooku.
Yeah,
She's
she's like kind of
Yeah.
narrating
You
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you've read it?
Yeah, so she's on a
Yeah.
mission for him and watching a bunch of going through his journals, I think, and kind of narrating what's going on and everything like that. It's a very interesting book. So yeah, no, I definitely, I've read that one, for sure. And then the for everyone else, the one that was the other Asajj Ventress book with Quinlan Voss is called Dark Disciple, and that one is where they're trying to assassinate Dooku. It's a whole assassination attempt by the Jedi to assassinate Dooku. It's really an interesting book where they go down a path that there's a lot of conflict within the Jedi Order when they decide to go down this path, for sure. So those two books are very much a lot of Asajj Ventress centric books, and there's a lot of great stuff in there. So yeah, definitely. What it was, Dark Disciple is by Christie Golden, and then Dooku, the Jedi Lost book, is by Cavan Scott. So those are two great books for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now that we've talked about it, I almost want to read Dark Disciple again. That was a very good book.
Yes, for sure.
Ah,
All right. Well,
too many things to read.
I know there's like, and I'm, but my completely side note, my stepson is getting into playing BattleTech, and I'm like, oh, I started reading the BattleTech books. I'm like, I can't go down this road. I can't go down and get into that lore. So it's yeah, it's horrible. So yeah, no, but that definitely, those are some fun lists. I mean, we're on the Dathomirian train right now. I think that's kind of where our brains are at. It's like we're just loving the Dathomirian stuff right now. So that's where we are. I'm sure there's tons of other fun lists you can make here, though. We never really even went into like the full all out droid synergies that you can do with the red cards if you wanted to run Kraken and Kalani, because that's definitely something you can do in these lists as well. So definitely worth giving any of those lists a try. The red cards are definitely a good way to go. But I think this is a good place to close out. I definitely just wanted to sit there and thank everyone for listening. If you're listening to us, the best way to support us is to leave rate review the podcast on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on. If you're watching us on YouTube, like, subscribe, ring that bell, and that way you can get future content from us. But as always, thank you for listening, and may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.